That was what we were trained for. And that is exactly what we are doing. So if we are saying we are nurse assistant, then it means you are demoting us. We are no more nurses, but there are some nurses somewhere that we are assisting. Meanwhile, it is not like that.
I see. So last year you striked over similar issues, only to call it off later. What has happened to make you declare another strike?
No, last year we didn't strike. It was a press conference.
You threatened the strike?
Yes, and we were called after the press conference, and negotiations began.
Who called you? The Minister of Health?
Yes, the minister.
And what kinds of negotiations went on?
Well, when we were called, NMC2 was called. So we went to the minister, and upon interrogation and discussion, we saw that even stakeholders consultation wasn't done. Neither did we also were informed or maybe involved in the discussion. So the minister took over and said he would see to the bottom line of it. So he set committees upon committees, of which none of them were invited, but at least whatever comes out of it, it was on the right direction for us. Until finally the minister set another committee that he said was going to work with their recommendation. But when they gave him the recommendation, he said the recommendation they are giving he's not going to work with. One was that they should give us our name. But two, in the register of NMC, they should, assuming community health nurse, but in the register, into bracket, nurse assistant. And then thirdly, they should call us to tell us that we are not supposed to work alone. We are supposed to work under public health nurses. But the minister said those recommendations, he's not working with them because he don't want any problem that in future it will crop up again. So they should give us our name and our job and then take away the assistant issue so that tomorrow nobody also get up and pick the assistant and coin a different name out of it, and it will create a problem again. So this is all
about job security. You're not certain that if you remain nurses assistants, you're demoted, and then you possibly may not have a job when there are enough nurses in the system. Is that what you're afraid of?
Not necessarily that. Yeah.
Right. Madam Bafo, let me hold you and quickly get onto the telephone lines. Tony Goodman is the Public Relations Officer of the Ministry of Health. He's joining us now. Mr. Goodman, good evening, sir. This is not a pleasant issue to hear. About 13,000 community health nurses say they don't want to be called nurses assistants. They want to be called community health nurses because they're fully qualified nurses. But the Ministry of Health still wants to classify them as nurses assistants. What is the rationale behind this reclassification?
Thank you. Good evening to our listeners and viewers. Steve, let me just state this clearly, that this issue is not between the ministry and the community of nurses. It's an issue we thought that we have to step into and make sure that we have at least cool heads and then have some discussion regarding this particular issue. So when it came up, a letter was written to the Ministry of Health. The minister really set up a committee to look into this particular matter. Various stakeholders were invited to the committee sitting. The community health nurses were invited. The Nursing and Midwifery Council was also invited. Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwife Association was also invited. Various stakeholders were invited because you are dealing with people who have some relation with these community health workers. At the end of the day, the minister said, okay, your recommendation is a good one, which means that we need to look at the name clearly as it is in the act that established this particular profession. The minister thought that the name is not creating any problem now. So why are we changing it? He was asking various questions. Why are we changing it? Then it came out clearly that it is an act of parliament that established the name, and for that matter, the council has to go by the act. And the minister said, oh, if we want to implement this particular act, what we need to do is to have what we call LI, which will now operationalize this particular act. And in it, we can now look at this community health nurse stroke assistant. he made some of those suggestions to the various committees and people who actually visited him. He thought it is proper to also look at the Act 1. It is also good to listen to everybody and find a solution to it. So this is where we are. The minister is actually working at resolving this issue. Right. So we're taken aback when we heard that they've declared a nationwide strike. What I just want to say, Steve, is that there is no point in embarking on any strike because the minister, who is not party to this whole issue, has taken up this challenge and is trying to resolve the issue.
Right. So what you're demanding, what you're actually calling for, is for them to rescind their decision to go on strike because the minister is taking care of it. Can you give us a timeline? Let's say, for example, if you're asking them not to go on strike, are you certain that the minister will finish working on the issues they've raised in a month, 2 months, 3 months, or let's say 6 months?
Steve, this issue is about nurses. They themselves are creating this particular challenges for themselves. The minister is stepping in. If I am able to give you timelines, that would mean that we know exactly what we are going to do. Right. We are talking to stakeholders, and we are sure and we are hoping that sooner than later we're going to have some solution to this problem. That is why it is not important for us to embark on any strike.
Right. Now, the community health nurses have also actually raised a very critical concern about promotion of its members. We need to find out from you what the procedure is and how long do you have to work in order to get promoted? Because some of them say they've been working for quite some time and they've had no promotions at all. This is also not regulated by the Ministry of Health?
And when it comes to promotion, it is done by the employer. The employer is Ghana Health Service. I spoke to the Director General yesterday and today, and he sent me a message he sent to the President, who is Esther, and telling Esther clearly what they are doing in that regard. In that text he sent to me, clearly stated that they are going to work with the various training institutions together with National Accreditation Board to find solution to this problem, where they are given certification that says that they have only certificate. He is working at giving them rather a diploma, which is a higher than what they have now. So their issues are being worked on, and Esther is aware of this. But he believes that it's taking some long time. That is why
Mr. Goodman,
they feel they want to embark on this.
Mr. Goodman, we're grateful.
The Minister of Health is telling them that they should not go on strike. They should be at post. He is handling the issue and will find a solution as sooner than as expected.
Right, Mr. Tony Goodman, thanks very much. Tony Goodman is the Public Relations Officer for the Ministry of Health. Madam Banfo, you heard Mr. Goodman. The Minister is working on it, so he says don't go on strike, and your issues are being addressed.
Yeah, everything that Tony said is right.
It's correct.
It's correct.
Including the fact that they've met you. You are aware of the processes that
yes,
are
and this
ongoing
thing started since November. And our problem is, on 2 occasions, we told the minister to write something to NMC for them to stop whatever implementation they are doing with the name. Other than that, tomorrow it will get far too long a time, and then they will say that where we've gotten to, we can't do anything about it. So let's continue with it. And it seems nothing has been done.
So
as of today, they are making inaugurations here and there. Fine, it is since last year, November. It is 6, getting to 7 months now. And the text message is talking about that Director General saying we have not received any text message. Director General is my father. We went to start with him about 3 weeks ago. We discussed things at about over 2 hours. The 3rd day we delivered a letter. And if anything, now you know the network we have in Ghana. Maybe
the text message is
hanged up somewhere. What stops you from letting them call me? And you are my daddy, you call me, you send me messages here and there, which I also respond to. So I'm just hearing that Director General has sent such this thing to me.
Madam Banfo, we were sure that your issues will be addressed. So Madam Esther Frimpoma Banfo is the president of the Registered Nurses, Community Health Nurses Association. So let me ask you, before I let you go, are you going on the strike still tomorrow, despite the appeal that don't go and your issues will be addressed?
Yes, we are still going because this career issue is that it has taken about 4 years now. It was only last year that it took off.
What will make you change your mind?
Unless we see everything on paper.
You want to see everything by tomorrow?
Yes, verbatim. We are not going to go by that.
Are they the only expectations you have, that your strike will force government to take an action over your situation, or there's something more?
Oh, not that. If that doesn't work, there are more other things we can also do.
What other things? You go to court?
Don't push me there.
I need to know.
When the time is due, you know what you want to do.